please put your hand on your heart for the national anthem. All right. Yeah, that's true. Today, our time. Welcome to Pricking the Bubble. Is Mike the Llama.
And Dr. Brant Raven.
How you going?
I'm scared of what today's
You're
topic is.
scared?
Yeah.
Well, don't be too scared because someone's going to help you through it, and that person is
Audio P.
There he is, Audio P.
Hello, Brian.
I'd like to talk about the monarchy today.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that wasn't as much of a groan as usual.
Well, whatever.
Okay.
The monarchy. Yeah.
All right.
Specifically the
Our
English
monarchy.
or- yeah.
Yeah. I noticed I said our monarchy. Yeah. All right, so I'll do a brief history lesson because we do have international listeners.
God, I don't know how we're going to do this for 40 minutes. But
No, we can do it. It's fine. So
I'll sip on my coffee.
you sip on your coffee and I'll block my nose. All
we'll
right.
start at 1066, are we?
No, we're not starting back there. No. So Australia, where we're coming from, where we're broadcasting from, was settled by the British 200 and a bit years ago. So Britain claimed ownership of Australia,
Yeah.
and as such, we're part of the British Commonwealth. So, in short, the Australian head of state is the head of state of another country. That is Queen Elizabeth II, unless she gets ill between now and when we post this particular thing. So that's...
Which would be amusing.
She would not be amused. So that's the current head of state. So there you go. Did I pass our very brief history lesson on the monarchy? Thank you. Excellent. America, as a
Hang
contrast...
on, how many like American listeners do we have?
No,
Because,
we do. Shut up. So...
But they don't understand a lot of
No,
this
that's
stuff.
what I'm going to say. So America was settled. They told the British to get knotted. There was that whole thing where telling you to go away. That's why
King George?
he might have been one of them.
Yeah, it was King George.
So that's why they are not part of the Commonwealth and have their own head of state. Now, whether or not that head of state is a giant knob, that's irrelevant to the conversation. Okay? We're happy with that? All right.
He may have got ill also between.
That is true. That's true. There is a temporal element to this whole thing.
He's probably already mentally ill, but anyway.
Well, that's true. So, should Australia grow up? Should we graduate to have our own head of state? Discuss.
Oh, come on. Discuss, really? Should we graduate? I don't know.
Well, how about we look at the fors and againsts, if indeed there are any.
I think it's cool. I think it's cool having a queen on our coins.
Do you?
Yeah, just on the back. You know,
Just in the back?
Otherwise,
Heads and tails,
Yeah.
just for flipping them. That's why it's useful. You know, anyone else can have a head on their coin.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Like we were discussing a little bit before we started recording, I wouldn't like to have a succession of prime ministers on our coins,
No, that's true.
especially because they change so often. The
Well,
coins,
you'd have to. So our current prime minister, Scott Morrison, would you?
unless they're
If we had like a 50-cent coin and we could nickname it the ScoMo. Hey, pass me a ScoMo. No one's ever going to say that.
No.
No, good.
The
Let's,
only
let's
place-
never even go down that avenue.
Don't
The
Have a good
only
look,
place
25
that Scott Morrison's face belongs
Yeah, all right, okay, thank you.
is my toilet. But
All
then
right.
again, I would say that pretty much of any Australian politician, because I have found them in general to be uninspiring.
That's true. You are consistent with your dislike of everyone. So
Well,
that's-
the only politician that I thought was pretty amazing was Paul Keating. I thought he was pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was. I found the fact that he would, during question time, he would stand up and call people scumbags. I absolutely loved that. I thought it was so incredibly human.
And to keep it relevant, didn't he touched up the... I mean, there's a
Touched up,
nicest
yeah.
possible way. He touched up the Queen a bit, didn't he?
He did.
He got in trouble.
He
What
put,
did
he put
they
his
call
hand,
him?
He put his hand on the Queen.
And there was some...
on the queen's person.
on
Yeah.
the- That's right. They had that on the all the headlines over in England at that time were all calling him like the...
They did. As she was walking down, I think it was some sort of like guard of honour or something, or she was meeting dignitaries and he was introducing them. And as she was walking down, he put his hand on her back.
You know what was heard then? lower.
Well, you wonder, because no one's allowed to touch the Queen's person.
No.
Does she ever just want to cuddle from someone?
Well,
you
that's
know?
true. It does. You know, we all need a hug now and then.
Yeah.
Maybe she's
No one
just
can-
like, why won't somebody? That's the worst Queen voice ever. But you know,
All
why
look,
won't somebody give
in
me a
that particular
hug?
case, Paul Keating touched the Queen,
Yes.
and I'm sure many other prime ministers have touched a Queen.
All right. So let's have a look at the arguments to
That
for and
mic moves
against.
on. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So the argument a lot of people say for keeping the monarchy is that it works. What's the what problem do we have here at the moment that the monarchy is causing?
Good question. Maybe it cost how much does it cost the taxpayers in England?
You
Do
will,
we pay anything?
you
for
will
it?
see that my
Yes.
second
Oh,
point there is
right.
the cost.
Yes.
I'm
Is it
not
like
sure.
£10 million
actually.
a year or something like that? I don't know.
Is that what to keep
That's
their
what her
bed
salary
warm?
is. That's what I thought it was her salary was about £10 million a year, which isn't. I mean, she's not like the richest person.
No, that'd be J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
in
That's
England, I
true,
think.
but I would argue that what is she doing for that money?
Mm.
Not what's she doing?
Maintaining the grounds, I think.
No, she's not. She's got
Showing
gardeners
the
to do
virtues.
that.
Yeah, they do it for free.
Maintaining the grounds. What are you saying that? What the Queen trims? What?
Okay, you've made it ugly. You've
Disrespect.
made it very ugly.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
so
no. No, I mean,
yeah, please.
you guys may not know this, but one of the biggest things, one of my greatest desires in life is to meet the Queen.
Is it?
I'd love to meet the Queen.
As you said before, a queen or the queen?
No, I've met a few
I'd like to meet
queens.
Queen the
Right.
band.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
you might-
yeah, I mean,
you
you
might-
couldn't do that.
might
'cause
need a
rather-
shovel,
What's his name's
unfortunately,
dead, but
Yeah,
yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
But
Brian May. It'd be pretty awesome to meet Brian May.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome, I think.
he would make a good head of
But
state.
Richard Dawkins, oh man,
I do feel we're slightly off topic.
we
All
are
right,
off
so
topic. We got to get Richard Dawkins on this podcast. I cannot die.
I wonder what he thinks of the Queen.
I've met him.
That'd be a great question, actually.
I've met him. I talked to him for about 10 minutes.
Did you ask him what
No,
he
we
thought
didn't
of the
talk
Queen?
about the monarchy at all.
It's
Oh,
funny
you
how
lucky
that
bugger!
proper-
I can't die without meeting Richard Dawkins. It would really be a big blight on
Okay,
my
so
life.
one of the arguments
Yeah.
that people give for keeping it again is that the cost to change would be significant. So would it? I mean, aside from changing the names of all the businesses to remove the word royal
Oh, you can
from
still
it,
have it. You can
well, you
have
can
it.
still have it. Yeah, well, that's right.
Well,
Well,
that's it. Yeah, what change would actually be required that would cost
Well,
so
let's
much?
let's look at Canada. Now, Canada,
Yeah,
do
okay.
they still have her as the head of state?
Yes,
I think so.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
But they
oh,
changed the
absolutely.
they
No,
changed
they're-
the
thought they were
flag.
out.
though.
No, they're not a republic by any means. No,
they're still.
Well, are there any members of the Commonwealth that do not have her?
Well, that
as
doesn't
the
make
head of
sense then.
state?
I don't think.
No, I think
'Cause
that
you
was
have
the
to
thing.
be-
That was what people were wondering. Can we still compete in the Commonwealth Games?
No, I don't think you can.
what a stupid freaking question.
I have that down here
I
as-
thought you can be.
I mean, really? I mean,
can
what
be in
an,
the
what an
Commonwealth.
what absolutely.
Let's stay in the
But we
monarchy
don't want- we
because
don't
I
want to
want
miss out on the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah,
No,
it's
I
the only time we've
can't.
seen
anyone that we
Honestly,
get any
I
good
honestly
medals in.
can't think of anything more moronic. More moronic. This is what really gets my freaking gallbladder, right? How moronic. I mean, we're going to stay in the Commonwealth in order for us to be in the Commonwealth Games. Is that an actual serious point?
I think it's
the shittiest games on the planet.
But it's like
of
leaving-
all the games.
Of all the games you could keep, I mean, look, you know what? I
But shot putters should have
you know
to wait
what I'm
4
like.
years to
You
do
know what I'm
something.
like, right? You know what I'm like. I get really
awfully long
shitty
time
with the.
holding- yeah.
I get really shitty with things like the Commonwealth Games and the
Yes.
Olympic Games and all this because it's just a bunch of old people. They're not that
Old?
old. No. It's a bunch of people making money off another bunch of people by convincing them that this is a good thing to do, right? To have games, and it's just stupid. I'd rather save the money and put it into hospitals, right? And as far as the freaking Queen
Yeah,
goes,
but hold on. When you're in the hospital and you turn the TV on, you want to watch the
no,
Commonwealth
I
Games.
don't.
Is
I
it
don't
the
want to
Royal
watch.
Children's Hospital? Though?
I don't
Or
want to watch
just the
look,
Children's Hospital.
I don't know if I don't know what the cost to change would be, and the cost to change would have to include, the implementation of a new head of state and
Well, there's a lot of things to be done in
and
Parliament,
all the
I would
pomp and
say.
ceremony that I would say that it's not a zero sum game, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would say that it's going to cost you something, and usually and hang on, is the government involved? Yes, so the cost is over the moon.
No,
by
well, hold on.
definition.
Could you introduce a thing where we have the First Amendment for our own constitution, for our own parliament, where the Americans have got all these amendments? Why couldn't we do one where the First Amendment is wherever it says anything to do with the royal, we mean our own head of state?
Well, you may want to do
And
that,
that would
but
be just something that
well,
overrides
you may
everything.
want to do that. But the Queen, having just been deposed, might have a few things to say about that.
Hold on, she can't keep her own country in order. What's she going to care about ours?
No, but I mean, there may be some international legal ramifications. I don't know. I'm making.
So there
stuff
will be
up,
a
right?
cost, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
But is that a reason to not do something?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What were you telling me about your patio?
Aren't we the equivalent of the 30-year-old who still lives with their parents?
Yep.
Because
Maybe.
it's cheaper. It's cheap to live at home.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with
because
that.
we haven't really grown up. And
No,
we've
there's-
looking
no,
after
There's nothing
ourselves.
wrong with it, but it is a burden on
What
the
does that mean? I
parents.
mean, what does it? Well, hang on. What does it mean we haven't grown up? What does that even mean? I mean, we alone, without the help of the Queen, or without the
Hold
help,
on, help.
we alone, without any help and without any sort of direction, will sign a deal with America. We'll sign a deal with China. We'll sign a deal with Japan. The Queen doesn't get involved in any of those deals.
Yep.
We don't make a decision. Then we get the sign off from the Queen.
Yep.
Right. In the same way, a 30-year-old living at home doesn't decide not to see someone, or doesn't decide not to do something because they're living at home.
Except,
And they're allowed to stay up as late as they like.
Right?
except what you've just described is exactly why I question the point of having the Queen. If she's not doing any of that stuff, what's the point in having her?
No, I take that point on board. I sort of agree with what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, if it's going to cost me any money to make a change that doesn't really matter anyway, why make the change? There's no value in the change. All it's really costing me is money. It's costing me money now. I've got to, and it won't be cheap. It's not like it'll be $1 million, right? If they wrote down the number and said, oh, to make this change, it's going to be $1 million, right? Okay. Well, now you're sort of, now maybe it's sensible now. But it won't be $1 million. Governments are involved and idiots are involved, so it'll be like $100 million. It will be. I guarantee you. Like I'm sitting here right now, it'll be $100 million.
Right.
It'll be freaking more than that, and then there'll be some celebration, and then they'll convince the people that it's something special.
plus we'll have to have
an
a-
independence. Oh, sorry.
No. Go.
So if I'm spending no, let's be a little bit serious. If I'm spending $100 million on this stupid thing, why would I not go and build a hospital for $100 million? Why would I not go and increase the wages of teachers for $100? No. Why would I not go pay military personnel or teachers or social workers a little bit more money with that $100 million, rather than because some idiots decided that we want to secede from the Queen? I mean, that's ridiculous. Do you see what I'm saying?
So, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure that really argues the point well, because all you're saying is, well, we've always done
No,
it.
dude, it argues the point extremely well.
What?
If I'm spending $100 million,
Yes.
right, which is the
You
wealth
personally?
which is the wealth of my nation,
Yes.
I want to be able to see something back for that $100 million.
Yes.
I really do. I want to be able to see, and I'm being genuinely serious.
Yes.
I want to be able to see something materially back for that amount of money.
Okay.
Wouldn't
it be someone that you then get to vote for who is the head of state of your own country? Isn't that
No,
something?
no, it's not. No,
Why?
it's not. Because it doesn't matter. If we were living in a situation where the Queen had veto privileges over a decision that Australia made, and in theory she does.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's what she does have.
In theory she does.
wouldn't frigging do it.
Right.
but yeah.
When was the last time it actually ever happened? Was it when
75?
Yeah,
when
Whitlam.
Gough Whitlam.
Exactly. Right? And even then it was highly derided, right? So no, I mean, look, it's again, we did our podcast last week about tradition
Yes.
and
Cultures,
culture,
yeah.
and this is sort of
I
part of
remember
our
it.
tradition and culture, right? This is, it's hard to remember a week ago.
Yeah.
This is part of our tradition and culture, the tradition and culture of our country and whatever else.
Yeah.
But countries, and especially countries like Australia, which tend to be a bit stupid, right?
Yeah.
And I'll box in the UK with that, and I'll box in America with that as well.
Well,
Again,
it's hard to argue against that particular
right,
point, though. but-
right? And there's a lot of other countries which are really idiotic in what they are, and they will happily spend $50 million on some fucking piece of shit, rather than spend $50 million on actually increasing your education. Right. And this is, again, and we've argued this point. This is what a lot of what I've got against the Olympics. You know, they will spend and invest in a person to get a gold medal rather than actually saying, you know what, our education's pretty shit. Why don't we just take that money and stick it in education? Instead of trying to win a gold medal at the Olympics, let's take that money and bolster our education so we're not, 54th in the freaking world, right? We're not even in the top 10. We'll actually get a little bit better. And in the same way, right, rather than spending money trying to get rid of the Queen, which, nothing's happening there anyway. It's not like there's a big problem happening with the Queen anyway. Rather than spending the money doing that, why not just keep the money and build a better hospital or build a nicer university or something like that? It makes a lot more sense. There's a lot more return for the country.
All right. So yeah. All right. I guess there are a couple of things I would say about that.
Yep, all of them are wrong.
No.
We're not arguing enough, by the way. I've got to tell you that, right?
I'm attempting to do it. What you've actually just said, and remember we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about the death penalty.
Yes.
And we said...
Get to the point, man.
My point was that if you're arguing about the cost, you're missing the point. If you're arguing about whether something's the right thing to do or not, and money is your determining factor, you're missing the point. So for me, it's the same argument. If you're saying, it's too expensive, I'd rather you didn't spend the money on this because I quite like the Queen, fuck off. My argument is, I'm telling you...
But that's not the argument I'm making.
Your argument is that we could spend the money on something better.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But hold on a minute. Have you ever gone out to dinner?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a movie?
Yeah.
You can do other things as well as the fundamentals. So you can still pay for things for education. You can say, you know what, education and hospitals and all those things are a bottomless pit. You can add as much money to as you want, and you can still always add more. Yeah, but hold on. So for me saying, well, you know what, if it is $100 million, we'll save up whatever. We will allocate $100 million if we have to take it a little bit from here, a little bit from there, whatever it is. We will allocate $100 million to get this thing done. You're not suddenly going to say, well, this hospital is missing out on $100 million. It doesn't work that way.
It does work that way.
It really doesn't.
And to take it to your point,
yes.
Because you made a couple of points which are worth discussing.
Oh,
right?
Good.
Right.
It's taken.
But to take it, really, to take it to your point, right? I do go out to dinner, and I do go out maybe to a movie, right? Although these days, what's the point, right?
Okay, good.
But I would go out to dinner, right? And I'd spend my money and have a nice dinner. Okay. Well, but you know what? I'm the sort of guy that won't do that until all the fundamentals have been met. So, in other words,
you can never meet the fundamentals of education and health.
No, but you can, and I have. I still pay my electricity bill for it. I have to contrast this with really good examples, right? Yeah. And what I would say to you is, and you know what I'm going to say is right? We both know people. Yeah. We both know people that would rather buy
a new Star Wars
figure
than
eat a month of beans on toast, right? And have that Star Wars figure in their collection.
Yes.
Rather than be able to have a good meal and not hang on, and not have the Star Wars figure. Yes. So what I'm saying is I'm contrasting against people like that.
Yes.
I'm saying for me, I will go and have that meal out. I will go out to dinner and enjoy that. But I'm doing that on the basis that I can meet the fundamentals. I'm doing it on the basis that I can educate my child. I'm doing it on the basis that I can pay all my bills without any help from anyone. I can pay my rent and I can pay my mortgage and I can, I've got good house.
You've got some discretionary funds on the side.
So suddenly, with all of that paid, I've got a little bit, and with money saved as well, and I've saved some money for the future.
Yes.
I can now go and have the meal. Not everyone's like that, and I hate to say it, countries are not like that either.
No,
Australia is one of those countries that would prefer to spend $50 million on winning a fucking Olympic gold medal, right? And it really rides me, it really grinds my gears, right? Australia's the sort of country that would prefer to spend $50 million rather than
rather than solving the public transport problem.
Well, hold on, you're saying rather than.
Yeah, I am.
But it's not. What you're doing is you're going from one extreme to the other. Just
I am.
Because but that's not the way it works.
It is the way it works.
What I'm saying
Well,
is,
it is because I've still got a public transport problem.
yes, if you put $50 million into it, do you solve it?
Well, I don't think I would solve it definitively, but it would make it better. I don't know in what way it would.
But that's what
I'm only using that as an example anyway, right? Because public transport is probably not the first problem anyway. But you know that there are other bits. You know, because you keep track of politics.
Yes.
Right? You know that there's big problems in the hospital sector,
Yes.
in the health sector.
Yes.
Big problems in the education sector.
Yep.
Right? Now, you're not going to tell me, say, throwing 50 million or 100 million bucks at those things isn't going to help in some way. I mean, you can't just go and build another portable. You've got to actually go and do something reasonable with that money. You've got to have a plan. Right? And all I'm saying is, don't go spend 100 million bucks getting rid of the Queen. That's not a discretionary amount. When you've got other problems at home, when you've got other things that 100 million bucks can be better used, and especially when the Queen is not actually affecting you. The fact that she's the head of state, that's not really affecting you. You're still making the decisions you need to make. You're not living in a dystopia, although that's a point.
If it wasn't for the money, say if it cost us nothing,
Yeah.
what would your attitude be to becoming a republic in Australia?
Look, if it cost us nothing,
or even if if there was a cash bonus.
oh,
that way.
Heavens to Betsy.
Yes. So
No. I am all about the money.
Yeah.
If there was a cash income for not having,
let's just say it was neutral.
right. If it was neutral, so no incoming, no outgoing, I wouldn't care either way. I wouldn't care. My only consideration is with the country that I live in. That is my only interest, right? In the country that I live in. Mm-hmm. It's about how that country runs. It's about how that country is governed. It's about how that country's people live. That is my only interest. If having the Queen there is an assistance to that, I want her there. If having the Queen there is a hindrance to that, I want her out. But if it's a neutral position, then why do I care? I don't really care either way.
Well, hold on. Do we also... Okay, I'll go back to the thing that you said before. Talked about the cost that it is to maintain our connection. What if the cost that we are spending to maintain this ongoing connection is a one-off cost? We can contrast that with the one-off cost to change across to not having the Queen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You'd have to look at the balance sheet. You'd have to say, okay...
Yeah, but hold on. It's
hang on.
It's always going to be cheaper to swap across because the monarchy is perpetual. It keeps going. It's always going to cost us this each year. But if we make a one-off change and say, right, okay, stuff...
Well, I don't know. How much is it costing us each year? I don't know. I mean, long term, you're absolutely right. The balance sheet over a long period of time will show a positive in for the country, right? Certainly, that's what the numbers would indicate, right? And you might realise... It may take you 30 years to realise that positive. That would depend on how much we pay each year. Right, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we do have, I don't know, what does the monarchy cost Australia as a nation? What does it cost us every year?
I don't know. Maybe that's something our fact checker could
maybe.
could check. But I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
I mean,
a nominal fee.
there was. I read a.
Is it a franchise fee that we're looking
well, I don't know, but I know in the UK, the monarchy actually bring more money in through tourism than they cost the nation.
And that's true. When I go and visit in the end of the year, I will in fact go to Buckingham Palace and have a look.
Right. Right. I'm just saying.
But that's their.
I'm just saying
that's their monarchy.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that it is an absolute fact because there's a lot of English people that want the monarchy out, but they don't understand that if you didn't have that, you may actually lower your tourism. So the monarchy in the UK actually makes money for the country.
But hold on, the same argument we had in our previous podcast. If the only reason people go there to Spain is to look at their bullfighting because of the torture and
but it's
whatever,
not the only reason. Though.
No, but hold on, that's also not the only reason people go to the UK. So there's going to be
I don't know why people go to the UK.
It's to not to warm up. I know that.
I have to say, I went to the UK. I was in London, lived in London for a while. And, look, it was interesting, but
moved on.
Yeah, not high on my list to want to visit again.
All right.
I mean, I would absolutely. We're blessed in that we live so close to
so far away from it.
Well, we're blessed that we live in the Asian region, and Asia as a collection of nations is an absolutely amazing set of countries to go to.
Culturally diverse.
Oh, amazing! I would always,
Anyway,
So
we'll come back to the
Just
audio.
by the way, Canada spend $22 million a year to maintain their connection with the monarchy.
Right,
Okay,
well, that's
so if we're
interesting.
saying, we've
20
plucked,
million, yeah.
we've plucked a number out of our butt when we say 100 million to swap.
Yeah.
So if there was a 5-year
Yes.
different, would you
Fi-
then go ahead and do it?
yes, absolutely.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on
If
to the
I'm
next.
saving $20 million in the 6th year,
Yep.
then yeah,
You can put that into your hospitals.
then absolutely. No, I would do it then. Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. You've got to look at it in those terms. You must absolutely look at it in those terms. A lot of people don't like to look at it in those terms. I can't see any other way of looking at it. You've got to base it in clear thinking and logic. This is the problem, right? And we've said this throughout, I think, a lot of our podcasts, right? That a lot of people don't make decisions based on rational thinking. You've got to be rational. And unfortunately, the way we live in this world involves a lot of money.
Yeah, look, I understand that, and I know coming from my position, it's a deciding factor, but it's not.
No, it
it's a
absolutely
determining
is.
factor, but it's not the deciding factor.
No, it absolutely is.
But if it wasn't the deciding factor, why would you ever go on a holiday? Why would you ever buy a brand new car? Why would you do it? Because all that you can travel within your own country and not spend as much money. You can.
Are you
get
joking?
No.
Are you crazy?
What?
Have you seen what it costs to travel inside Australia? It's cheaper to travel overseas.
I don't mean by a plane with a gold fucking chariot on the front. I mean you can drive somewhere. You can catch the bus and catch the train.
Drive. I'm going to drive somewhere as if they've just invented and I've just discovered the motor car. I mean, come on. No, I'm not going to drive anywhere. Of course I could drive somewhere. I mean, I could drive to Wilson's Prom and probably have a nice week in Wilson's Prom.
Yes, but you won't do it
Right.
because...
No, it's not that I won't do it. I mean, I probably wouldn't have done. It is. There's good reasons to go there, and that would be a valid holiday. But I'm saying if you wanted a slightly more interesting, slightly more expensive holiday where you are going to fly somewhere, I flew to Queensland for just for the new year.
Yes.
Which would become just land if we become a republic.
Very good
the
point.
state formerly
Yes.
known
I
as...
flew to land. Yeah. No. I flew to Queensland over the at the beginning of the year, and it was horrible and terrible. It cost me a lot of money, and in all honesty, it would have been cheaper to go to Bali. It really would have been cheaper to take an international flight than to travel within my own country. That's another point for another podcast because
is.
that's ridiculous.
Just about the royal family.
Yes.
That the whole idea of them being upstanding and a great example to us all is really a 20th century invention.
It is, and I will I will make a point again. So let's assume that we get rid of the Queen. One of the questions is, well, who would you replace them with? And that's a common argument. So it's often
Well, if
presented.
you got rid of herpes, what are you going to replace it with?
That's right.
God.
So we look at our local celebrities and saying, do you really want Chris Hemsworth as our head of
come
state as an example?
well, hang on,
but hold on, this is the argument someone might give.
Hang on,
celebrity.
how did that argument just come about? I mean,
I've moved on to the next one. We've moved on from financial, and I moved on to... So this is the position of people who want to keep the monarchy. They say, well, hold on, who would you put in this
We
place?
need a prestigious person.
Who are you saying? Chris Hemsworth? You can't have him as the head
that's
of state.
You know what? Anyone that's making that argument is just a cockhead.
Okay,
They
it
really
was
are.
me,
I
but
mean,
that's all right.
No, really. How is that even a rational argument?
The
We
argument...
need people to look up to and
that
say, I wanna be
is a
them.
very close. That is a very close cousin to the argument from incredulity. Oh, I don't know who we would replace them with.
But
Therefore,
don't we need exalted families to show us what we could be?
Yeah,
if we
well, I've
just
got-
put in the effort.
All right, we will get to that one there, but hold on. What I was going to say, so if people who argue against it here say, well, who would you replace it with? We don't have anyone who we respect in Australia quite like the Queen. Who's next on the list after the Queen dies?
Yeah, that's what.
It's Prince Charles.
yeah.
He once said to his current wife, I wish I was a tampon. These are the sorts of... I mean,
That could be printed on the back of the coin with his head.
instead of in God we trust,
Yeah,
in
well,
tampon we trust. It's...
I'm absolutely lost right now. I don't understand what the
Well,
point
see,
you're
actually,
making
the proper
is.
good point
Yes.
is that I think there will be a push for a republic when
When the Queen goes.
yeah, when she
Dear
moves on.
leader. Is that what you were going to say? When the Queen goes. Well,
When
that's
she
true.
jumps that final.
Look, she's
hurdle.
been around. How long has she been around for? 60-something years. So she had. Hold on. So she's got tradition traditions which can be broken. If Charles is the next one, you can look at Charles the
But it's
same
not
way you
about
look at the
tradition.
Queen.
Again, I don't see this as necessarily being about tradition.
All right.
The status quo really currently does work.
I'm just giving you
It
arguments.
just doesn't. I mean, it doesn't stop us from governing ourselves.
Okay, all right.
You know, the idea that the head of state is the Queen is simply an idea. It is a concept.
Can we have a penguin? Like, just say our head of state is a penguin.
That's true. The one we
I mean, technically, it's more than a concept because it is written more or less in law that the head of state could make a claim in Australia or whatever the case might be, right? Whatever they. I mean, in theory, the Queen can come in and kill someone in Australia, right?
I reckon I could take her.
No, do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it really is quite interesting because the Queen could go to a country like, say, the US and kill someone in the US and be, in theory, prosecuted for that because that's under their law. But she could come to Australia and kill someone in Australia or any Commonwealth country, and she makes the laws. The laws are divested from her. Or from the monarch, and so therefore she could make a law that applies only to her, and in fact she would not be prosecuted. In fact, she will not. There are laws in place. I've read about this. There are laws, and I've got you can go to my little library here, and I've got several books on the subject. That the laws there are laws that basically prevent her from being prosecuted. Right. So, in theory, that could happen. Yeah, but it's not happening.
No, that's true. She's unlikely, especially because we have
Yes.
to keep inviting her over when she wants to come and
Yes.
visit. All right.
And I think, yes. I was about to say something about London and the City of London, because you do know those two things are not the same. Mm-hmm. Are you aware of this?
You do tell. You're telling everyone. Not
Well,
just
London, the London, the city, and the City of London are not the same thing.
Okay.
London.
Is that much like Melbourne and Greater Melbourne?
No, it's nothing to do with that. London, it hails back to when London was invaded, and it hails back to 1066. London used to be a walled city, and of course the City of London was a walled city, and when the invaders came in, and I forget who was the Harold.
Yeah, it was the Norman conquest.
Yeah, Harold Haldrada, if my memory serves. And he couldn't knock down the walls, and so he basically said, "Listen." He said to the people behind the walls, "Listen, if you acknowledge me as king of this land, I will let you guys remain where you are, and you guys can have your own little rules and everything like that." So there you go. And so they agreed. They said, "Yep, we'll declare you as king of all these lands, and we'll keep our little part." And so there's a little section of within London.
Is that what Australia is then? Is that like,
No. This is not at all.
We're ruled by.
No, not at all. It's very, very different. Very, very different. In fact, so there's the City of London and there's London, and the City of London has their own mayor.
It used to be Boris.
Well, the City of London has their own mayor, and London has their mayor.
Right.
Yeah, so they're very, very different things. The mayor of London is elected by the people. The City of London, the mayor is elected by I think the corporations within the walls. So.
All right, let me look at my next topic. Not topic,
A very
my
good
next
piece
point.
of history. If anyone that's listening should look this up. And in fact, there's a
You
great
can come around and visit his library where he has the books.
There is a great explanation of this. There's a great YouTuber, CPG Grey, Grey. I would encourage you guys to have a look at his YouTube on this. He's very, very good at explaining it.
All right. Another reason people say to keep the monarchy is the royal kids. They're bringing the monarchy back into favour for people.
Yeah, but that's not a relevant point.
Well, no, it is, because that's the future of our monarchy.
Well,
people.
that's an irrelevant point.
But it's not to some people.
Well, those people are dickheads.
Okay. All right.
It really
What about-
irritates me when we talk about these things because, again, for me, it's all very, very simple.
Yeah.
The world and everything that we do is really, really very simple.
Yes.
Right? It all comes down to whether we get a benefit. That's really all it really comes down to, whether we get a benefit from it.
Okay, so
There are other factors, right? I mean, you could get a benefit, but still not want to do it because there are other human factors. But at the
Human factors?
Well, I'm just saying. For example,
I just didn't think you ever.
may
really-
get a benefit from eating tiger penis soup. There is no known benefit, but you may get a benefit. That
Right.
doesn't mean we should go kill tigers and do that, right?
Well, you could just stir it with it. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, make your point.
Audio Pete, what were you going to say?
I was going to say about benefit. All right, think
Yes.
about which one was the one in the army who flew the helicopter?
Harry.
Harry.
Yeah.
He does a lot for soldiers who've come back and been injured, and does quite a lot of public.
Is that
support
wars
for
that
them.
wars that he fights in to
Well-
help prop up his own monarchy? No.
Well, put it this way: I'm not sure if he raises funds for, but he certainly does a lot for the charities that help
Yep.
soldiers, returning soldiers, and for them, they would see a benefit in having him as their spokesperson.
How is that different from our original podcast where we talked about sports people raising money for other people? He's still doing it. He's not doing it because he's an awesome guy. He's doing it because he has the public.
The clout.
Yes.
Well, I
Does
suppose
that justify doing it? Does that make it good? Because in your sports, when we talked about sporting idols, maybe you should check out our badly audioed first podcast. That was to do. Your argument against it was they're only doing it for their own purpose, and anyone else who could be doing the exact same thing isn't looking for the same recognition,
He could be just yachting in the Mediterranean if he wanted to.
like many other royals do.
Which he
Well,
probably
well,
does.
again, I mean, I still don't know the point that's being made here. I mean, yeah, he is.
Well, I was just.
He's doing.
Pete was
a lot-
raising a point,
I
and
was
I
gonna
was
say, if
bashing
he-
it down.
If he's raising more money than
Yes.
he's costing the taxpayer
Yes.
through his work, say if he costs, I don't know, £5 million a year,
Yes.
but he raises £50 million for the benefit of others.
Yep.
Is that a good
Net
reason?
gain?
Yeah, it's a net gain.
Well, yeah, it is, and that's a good thing.
But
That's definitely a good thing.
But is that a good reason to keep him as the head of the state? Because what if we had... I'm going to say Chris Hemsworth again. What if we had some local person as the head of the state? They could do the same thing.
Well, I'm sure someone else would step in. Yeah, if there
Well,
wasn't a
that's
royalty,
right.
there would be some other notable figure that.
Look,
might do it.
yes, you would have to measure all these things. That's the point I'm trying to make. You can't just make these decisions. A lot of people are making these decisions or thinking about these things on the back of us being a republic. Okay, well, what does that mean though? You've got to measure that. You can't just say, you can't be emotional about it and just say we want to be a republic. Well, why? Why do you necessarily want to do that? Then there may be very good reasons why. You may be fighting a regime that is corrupt. You may be there may be a financial gain for you to do that. For example, you may have a country that's rich in its natural wealth, and if that natural wealth is all going to the head of state, if that natural wealth is all going to another country, then you want to become a republic. It's the classic American situation, right? When America became an independent. No taxation without representation. That whole idea, that's what that whole idea was. You know, if you're going to come to this country, set up a regime in this country, and then take all of our natural resources to your home country to prop up that home country, well, you're not representing us now, right? So no, we're going to fight against that. And that's a good fight. The same goes for the South American countries. You know, Che Guevara fighting the Spanish, Simón Bolívar, who fought after whom Bolivia is named, and a few other countries as well, right? Who fought for the independence of those countries against the Spanish. Again, you've got to look at those countries. What they did, they raped the country and took it all the stuff back home. There's a good reason why you want to get independence in those situations. Very, very good reason. Our case is completely different.
Isn't that good that we're in a position where we don't have to fight? We don't have to do it. So we can say, all right, we're in a good position. Thanks for all your work in the past. We're going to push ahead because Dr. Brant Raven says that it's financially okay, we can do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
So
if you're
let's go ahead and do
I'm
it.
saying if there is a net benefit in doing it,
Mm-hmm.
then you do it. If there's a net benefit in not doing it, then you don't do it. There's no good,
right.
there's no other solid reason to do it. There's got to be a net benefit.
Now let's cause you some more angst by asking this following question. There's a net benefit. How do we choose our own head of state?
I don't know. How do we choose our own head of state? Seriously, if you look at the last bunch of clowns and the current bunch of clowns, seriously, I've got to tell you, you know, the people that we choose for our leaders.
Well, don't forget, we had that referendum. Was it 1999? We had it. Was it? I think it was. We had a referendum to see if we would become if we wanted to do that. Was it changing the flag? Maybe.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember.
There's another one. There's another one.
No, it was a Republican referendum, and because the wording, the reason it failed wasn't just because people thought the same thing as you necessarily, which was, is it going to cost us too much? It was the wording was that the Parliament would choose the head of state. Now, you already don't like the people in the Parliament, so
No, I
you're
don't.
hardly going to want them to choose a head of state. So would we then go down the popularly elected route and say, well, we're going to choose our own president, we're going to choose our own whatever we want to call them,
It would doubtlessly be a sport.
and that's what I mean. And the problem you have would be
You really
it would
think
be
it would,
Chris
you
Hemsworth.
really think it would be a sports person?
Well, the head of state doesn't have to do anything. Like the
No,
Queen,
that's right.
all she
It's a
has to do
purely
is say yes to
ceremonial.
whatever she's asked.
Yeah.
But
wouldn't
She
our
has a
head of-
rubber stamp.
Yeah.
Wouldn't our head of state be someone like the president, though? Like,
we've got a president. That's probably what would happen.
yeah, but and the president does do things.
Yeah.
The president
No,
of the US.
no, I think
No, we're talking about we have a president here in Australia. It's
oh,
part
the
of-
president of the Senate.
But yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
the head
it's-
of the Senate.
Yeah, it's not.
No, but we've got a prime minister.
Yeah, but
But the head of the lower house is the
But
speaker.
why do you need anything? Why do you need anything?
Well, exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. Why would you need anything? I mean, we are currently a constitutional monarchy, right?
Yep.
Why would you just simply not be a constitutional government? Why would you need to be?
And the head of state is the prime minister.
Well, whatever. I mean, yeah, okay. If the head of state is the prime, okay.
Doesn't
Why do
have
you
to
need
ask
an
anyone.
Why do you need an extra person?
Well, I don't think you do, and I think
And-
it's
and even
purely
if
a
you-
hangover from ye olden days. That's the
and even
entire
if you
reason we
did
have it.
want a person, and they did in fact do nothing, using your words, why would it be an actor or a sports person?
Because that's just who
If
we
it was
elect.
a popularly
Yeah,
elected
popular.
person,
God.
it's doubtlessly going to be
I-
someone from Australia.
But that's why you. But that's why you get
I-
people like Donald
so
Trump
really-
getting elected, because if you'd had another politician up
They-
against Hillary Clinton back
Is
in,
it possible that they might be an Instagram influencer as well?
Yeah, that's
my
what I
God.
mean. We open ourselves up to all that.
our president is Bobby J 813.
Nikki Webster or someone like that from the
It
80s.
could be
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, look,
Oh, you see, no, yeah.
That
okay,
is a- look.
you've just convinced me not to do it.
I was going to say I'm not sure we're winning this argument, but
You know,
anyway.
no, this is a really terrible thing. No, that would really annoy me.
Well, see,
No, the
is
head
it
of
better
state,
the devil you know?
the head of state, the head of a country should be, should have skills. They need to be politically savvy.
Yeah.
Now, the Queen, you could quite well argue the Queen does nothing. But I reckon that'd be a pretty poor argument. I reckon that'd be a pretty poor argument because for everything that I read for the Queen, she is pretty damn savvy. Right?
She's one of the original public influencers, not the Instagram influencer.
No, but she's pretty smart.
I'm
the
sure
Queen,
she's pretty switched
you know.
on. You don't stay queen for 60-something years if you don't know what's going on.
And let me tell you, guys, I reckon she's a bit hot, actually.
Anyway, on that particular note, I'm not sure we've established anything yet again.
No, imagine.
But-
Can you imagine?
No, I don't want to imagine
Can you
anything
imagine
you're about.
taking tea with the Queen? I mean, it would be an
Oh, look, it
absolute
would be interesting, yeah.
interesting.
She certainly would have a lot of stories
Interesting. I think I'd need a new change of underwear. I really think I would. I would
Change?
What would I talk about?
to tell. Well, that's true. Look, I reckon she'd be good to have.
What would you talk about to the Queen? I mean, it
Rolf
would be,
Harris.
It would
No,
be,
no.
You wouldn't talk about Rolf Harris.
He painted her.
Oh,
That's
Not
true.
not body
Like one
painting.
of his French girls.
Yeah. How horrible! What a horrible man that man
What
is.
would you talk to the Queen about?
I don't know. I really don't know. But it would be fascinating. I would.
Maybe you could ask her what
No,
we should
but
do.
I'm being quite
I'd say she
genuine.
looked the best on the $1 note.
Yeah, you could say which of these.
She looked pretty good on the $1
Which of
note.
our currencies did
That's
you,
a good point.
I took that.
No, that's a really good point. But I mean, you could ask her really, like, hey, Queenie,
Quanga? Is that?
how much wood could a woodchuck chuck?
Yeah.
No.
All right.
But in all seriousness, it would be an absolute. I would like if I were having a conversation with the Queen,
Yeah.
being a scientist / engineer / whatever I am. I'd like to know. I would be interested in knowing how much science she knows and what she thinks about current technology and the direction of science and. Are we ever going to, populate other stars and stuff like that? I genuinely would be interested in knowing her
want to
thoughts
know,
on that.
If she knighted Richard Dawkins, would he have to swear to uphold the religion, which be a defender of the faith?
I don't
is
think
the
that's.
word.
I don't think that's.
Do you have to do that now?
No, I
Don't you have to say defender of the faith?
No.
No.
Does the
They don't do that anyway. They
Queen
don't
go
dub.
to church?
Well, she's the head of.
No, that's,
no, she
that's
is.
not. That's
she
not.
is the head of the
That
church.
wasn't my question.
Yeah.
Does she go to church?
Don't know.
Other than when people get married or die.
Yes.
Don't
she
know.
does.
I really don't know. I have no idea.
If she's for the head of church, she's letting the side down. I can't imagine Philip. No, that would be Philip's voice. Come on, Philip, let's head off to church. I can't imagine that happening each week. Oh,
No,
my back's killing me. Let's skip this week. No, I don't.
I don't know. But,
So I'd like to ask her about that. Do you really believe in religion, or is this part of your job description?
It would be so fascinating. It would be just imagine. Maybe we can invite her on the podcast.
Coming up next week, an interview with a queen.
Can you imagine? Yes, we.
Oh, you've given yourself an out.
Yeah,
I have. That's right.
No.
Yes.
Like we can definitely organise an interview with a queen, not the queen.
Yes.
No, it would really be. That would be the most fascinating.
If you wish us to interview the queen, like, subscribe,
Yeah.
and comment.
Yeah.
All right,
please.
we should finish this one up. Thank you, Dr. Raven.
All right. Look, this has been a good one.
Thank you,
definitely.
Audio Beat.
Thank you all.
We hope we've pricked the bubble. Oh, actually, I don't know what we've done.
No.
See you next week.